It's the way we start always, yeah.
Yes, deciding how perfect or imperfect are we going to be in our talk today, huh?
How convenient.
With our subject. Because,
Mm-hmm.
oh my goodness, how often are we waiting for perfection? We have our lists and our preferences about who we want to date or who we want to be in a relationship with. And I think sometimes we even have a high list of perfection for ourselves. And Barry and I are going to talk about that there's a better choice than looking for perfection.
I would actually add to that we often use that list of perfection to punish other people.
Very good point.
Yes, we'll talk about that as well, just to make it juicy.
I love juicy topics. I think that's why our people tune in, because we always do interesting talk. Oh, there's Miss Gigi. She's like, oh, Barry's on the Zoom. I have to be in the camera.
She doesn't seem to be that interested in me, though.
I don't think so. She was where I was sitting, and she had to get up and move the cat. How sad is that? So she's over there being a little huffy, I think.
So, and by the way, if you're listening and not watching, there is a cat in the background on Christine's
yes.
screen. You want to see it, of course.
Yes, Miss Gigi likes hanging out when we do Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
Barry, and I'd like to welcome you today to the new streamingnetwork.com, WGSN-DB Going Solo Network, radio, TV, and podcast #1 internet singles top network. And this is Let's Talk Dating with Christine and Barry. Hi, Barry.
Hi, Christine.
So as you heard in the intro today, we're going to talk about, are you waiting for perfection? We are going to give you some much better choices, and that'll be better for you in your life in general and for your picker. And people say that I think my picker might need some adjustment or it's broken. I think a lot of times what I've learned is people are picky about the wrong things and not often picky enough about the right things.
Yeah. I mean, we talk about red flags and green flags too, because it's important to know that we're not saying you have to give up what you really need for yourselves and what you will also not ever do, because we're not saying, that because perfection is such a high, impossible target, perhaps, they just suffer through having things you don't really want. So let's be clear, we're not advising you to suffer by any means.
No suffering. We are not fans of suffering.
Agreed.
Yes, moving on from suffering is good. And I think looking for perfection and striving for it on your own or with somebody else can cause a lot of suffering. I have certainly suffered from that malady in my life in my younger years, just finding all this fault with myself and other people because they weren't being perfect. And so perfect is truly, as a human being, means, this is why when we talked about AI a couple of weeks ago, AI is so perfect all the time. It gives you the best advice. It's empathetic. It knows how to say the right words. It's never in a bad mood, which is why people are getting more and more attracted to it, because it does feel perfect in all those ways that we think we need and want. And I'm here to say that the imperfectly perfect part of me, or the perfectly imperfect, either way, is the part that I love, that makes me human, that I am going to be in a bad mood sometimes, or I am going to misspeak, or I'm going to be silly in an inappropriate time, or I'm going to be grouchy, or whatever. It's part of being a human being and not a robot. And that I can be perfectly imperfect that way. And if we can accept that from ourselves and other people, I think the world in general will be a happier place, and certainly the dating world.
It would change the planet, to be blunt. Yes, absolutely. And speaking on that, the thing about perfection is it can be an ideal to shoot for, whether it's in business, in school testing, getting 100% of your tests can feel like, awesome, I did a great job. But I remember learning, and I've since learned it many times over, that we learn from our mistakes. And so if we get only at 90 or even an 80%, then it's like, what can I do better? What can I improve on? And it's true in relationships just as much as a school test, as weird as that parallel sounds, is that in relationships, if we do everything right perfectly, there's almost this part of us waiting to see when the shoe drops and we fail at something. So it becomes this fear-driven perfection rather than just a joyful experience. And when you do things, not saying you go around making mistakes, but you do the best you can. And when you make a mistake, you clean it up. And frankly, that's part of the joy of relationship, because it gives you something to work on. It's like relationships, in my context, I know in Christine's too, is they are work in the sense there's something you work on, you enjoy, you explore, you create. It's not and my bad habit in the past was, once I got into a relationship, I put my feet up. It's like, no, relationships are work. You keep at it, you keep progressing. And when you aren't perfect, you have room for improvement, which is the joy of being in a healthy relationship.
And part of along that same vein is when you tackle something together and you get through it together, however you stumble along and hurt each other's feelings or misunderstand each other, and you do get to the other side, what I have found for me and for my clients is you feel better about yourself. And you did this together and you're stronger together. And you now know you could tackle this again if you have to, or at least something similar. And it gives you such a great boost, but it's hard to remember that when you're in the middle of it, for sure.
Yeah. It's this is a journey for all of us. And we're talking about in our conversations about how being a witness to ourselves, to be able to sort of almost be standing on the side, watching us in interaction with other people. It's not always easy, but it's a very interesting place to watch from, to be a witness to ourselves. So try that on as homework one of these days.
And you had mentioned about when you do get 100%, the people that I've known that were professional athletes or entertainers, that when they hit that peak, there's this elation, but then it's like, what would I do to do better than that?
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel, when I listen to them, it doesn't feel like, oh, goody. It's like, oh my God, the pressure. And I read a couple of different interviews with Michael Jackson that after he did the Thriller album, he was never happy because whatever else he did, no matter how popular or how many records or how many fans, it never felt like that again. So nothing ever lived up to that. And he was never as satisfied, which is crushing. That you can't even take in all this other great stuff you did just differently. That if it didn't match up to this exact way again, it doesn't count. It's not as good. And boy, do we do that as human beings a lot for ourselves and with other people. It's a lot to keep putting on ourselves.
It's almost like we have this built-in denial of our perfection, in the sense that we don't think we're good enough, so we keep trying to do better. I'm trying to retrieve this quote that I have somewhere back in my mind, coming through, about perfection and excellence. But the understanding is that basically, speaking in a spiritual perspective for a moment, God's spirit is perfect. Humanity is always doing the best it can. So the excellence level of being human, it's like we are never perfect except through the divinity that we have. And I know they're not going to do that sort of level of conversation in this context, but understand, if you just have that piece in your mindset, it gives you the chance to realize that you don't have to do things better than you are, unless you want to be better and better at being yourself. But like you're saying, with the champions, the athletes that set the new record, then they're going to go do it again and get set another record and another record and another record. And that really is kind of the journey, is that every new excellent level is a marker that you can then go for even better next time. And maybe you'll do that in your relationships as well.
It's what we all hope. And that the other part is that when I met somebody recently who wrote a song that the title is, I want to learn something every day until the day I die. So part of learning is making mistakes. Part of learning is oopsing and screwing up. And I'm going to keep quoting lovely Maya Angelou that said, we do the best we know now or then, and now that we know better, we can do better. So to really give ourselves a pass and some forgiveness about, did I know how to do that better then? Lots of times, no. Sometimes, yes, but lots of times, no. So, okay, but now I'm going to say, too bad, that was crappy, but what could I do different, better now so I could have different, better results this time? And boy, is that part of the journey of dating for sure. Oh, yeah.
I'm speaking on the mistake thing for a second. I remember reposting a meme last week. There was something along the lines about, I learned so much from my mistakes. I think I'm going to make some more. because the thing is, ideally, when we make mistakes, we are aware of them and then we do learn from them. Now, I know it's a joke to say it that way, but the reality is that it changes the energy, because some of us, maybe just me, have this perfection streak where we don't want to make mistakes, and when we make mistakes, we start to flagellate ourselves and beat ourselves up and that sort of thing. Whereas if we understand that mistakes are learning opportunities, especially if we course correct and we apologize or whatever, if we did something against somebody else, especially in a relationship, even friendships, where we make a faux pas, we mess something up, and we say, you know what, it was my bad, let me clean that on up. And we do, That's a win-win.
Yeah, I remember reading an interview once with this woman. She was in her middle 90s, I think, and they said, how do you have such a positive attitude, at this age? And she said, well, I've just been very clear that I always had to learn things. I just have decided I'm going to learn them sooner and faster. I'm not going to have it take quite so long, because it's kind of torturous if it takes a long time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah, I'm not going to do it that way. Oh, I'm going to apologize right away. I'm not going to have this whole long thing, that suffering thing that just is so draining and exhausting for everybody, for you and everybody around you, often when you're in the middle of suffering something.
Yeah, I mean, it's the thing for me has always been, as I've been a student of personal development and human development and growth over the years, is I look back in some of the places in my life and just realized how little I knew about certain things. And once I knew how to do differently, I would change and improve and have more interaction with the world. So I got better at things. And that was something that I look back on with gratitude, that I know better now than I did then. But I know it's easy to get caught up in the perception that I was so bad then because I did it wrong. It's like, no, you do the best you can with what you know how at the time. And so I would suggest to anybody who's watching our talks is that if there's an area in life where you're not doing as best as you want to do that, learn how to do better, to be a better student, to make mistakes and learn from them, to actually try new things, be different. Don't sort of fall in the rut of thinking you never get to be successful in it.
So if we put it back in the category of dating, and often when we're filling out our lists about what we want this other person to be and do and have and say, to have some grace about that they'll be a human being, and that the way that you want to interact with somebody, that you're going to have some grace and be a human being. So to say, gosh, this is the kind of support I would like. I'd like somebody that, could sit and listen to me when I'm having, I need to talk about what's been going on in my day. And I prefer that they don't interrupt me. Okay, well then I need to say that. I need for you to just sit here and listen to me and not interrupt me. And I need to talk for like 20 minutes. Is that something you could do? And then wait. And don't get mad at them if they say, no, I can't right now, or I can't ever. So they're being their perfect self, and they're telling you who they perfectly are. And the really hard challenge for us women, and John Gray used to call it the home improvement committee. I had a man ask me the other day, he said, why do women always want to change us? I said, because we see your potential.
Yeah.
And often your potential wouldn't make you your best self. Really, what we think you need to change, that we think is going to make you better, in the long run might not make you a better person. It's going to change who you really are. That's made you fine already. So figuring out what their perfection can be, this is who they are as their perfectly imperfect person. And is that okay enough? Could you like them enough like that? And I have to tell you, I have to have that conversation frequently with women, not as hard with men. Men like to rescue. When the woman's having a hard time, they want to rescue them, but they don't feel like that's a change. It is, but we really go, I like all these things, but there's this thing. But I know that if he cares about me enough, if he likes me enough, or if I'm pretty enough or skinny enough or smart enough or whatever the enough thing, he'll change, and then he'll be perfect. Yeah. It's too much to keep asking of another human being.
It is probably one of the biggest heartbreaking experiences, because you start feeling like you're not being loved enough, because until you reach that ideal to be that perfect for that person, they won't love you. And it's like, then what's the point of being in a relationship? So that pursuit can really be destructive to relationships. Absolutely.
Yeah. So realistic lists of what you really need and want, and then clearly saying it to the other person. And is that them or no? And believe them. That's the one thing, boy, you good men, you tell us the truth. We don't always believe you. We don't always want to believe you, or we do think we can change you. And I'm here to tell you, good men never lie if you ask them outright who they are and what's important to them and what they can do in a relationship and what they can't. And we need to say, oh, that's the truth. Can I live with the truth? And then the other two words that I've heard recently, Allison Armstrong, is tolerate is fine. Tolerate is fine. Putting up with, no. And that's the thing that we want to change, is the thing we can't put up with. But if you would just do this differently.
Yeah, that's why there's a museum of tolerance, not a museum of putting up with.
You are on it today, Mr.
It just
Selby.
came in. What did I say? You gave me the words.
It's truly true, because that is really, I've been there twice, and it really is the intolerance of some segments of human nature and human beings is where that all happened. That's why it happened, because of the intolerance. And it was, and what people put up with in order to allow that to happen. It was such an interesting journey, because I hadn't ever looked at it that way till I arrived at that museum and had to walk through one of those arches that says, are you prejudiced or not? Because we all have our preferences, and it's okay to have preferences. It's how you act and interact with other people about them. And this is so wrapped up in the way that we treat people when we're dating them.
Absolutely. And the thing about relationships, which is always for me the challenge and the opportunity, is we don't know the other person that well. And also we don't know how we're going to be in relationship with that person as well. Just put that on the table. So being faced with what basically is the unknown, how do you want to proceed? Are you willing to enter with faith, with trust, or are you going to be judging everything that happens negatively so you never get what you want? Or you want to run in back blind like a bull in the china shop and knock everything down without any clear understanding? It's like, well, how do you adventure into this new unknown space called a relationship between two people, because you don't yet know what the results will be? You can make assumptions and you can make judgments about it. But if you go in clean without any presumption about what's going to happen, the amount of joy that's available, the amount of opportunity available, and the freedom that you can have as well is just beyond anything you've had before.
Freedom for them and for you.
Yes.
Because what I've learned, because I thought I was a really good guesser, and now that I've talked to so many, hundreds of people, I am a pretty good guesser, but I never assume. And I'm always asking, so tell me more about that.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, what does that mean to you? Or it seems this is what you're saying. And I have to tell you, I find out that I wasn't right. And I often like their answer better than the one I made up even. So I've been very pleasantly surprised when I've asked.
Nice.
It's been a wonderful experience, because I was so surprised how often the answers were different than I thought, and how often I like that answer. I'd much rather that multiple choice answer.
It's what's to say about well, there's another. Sorry, I'm thinking of two quotes. One of the quotes basically is about this may not fit. We'll see if it works or not. But it's better to remain silent, be thought the fool, than to open your mouth and remove all doubt.
Yeah. Similar
in relationship is that if you don't speak but listen and trying to find out more, that does fit, because nature does fit. Then they will tell you more about themselves. If you start making assumptions and start telling them what you think of them, that's when you start realizing how foolish you're going to be. So once again, is the inquiry and the willingness to listen that makes things so much easier.
And what it does is, it, for me personally, it puts me on the defensive. It makes me feel not heard or seen, that when somebody just starts talking about what it is I'm thinking, that they ask me a question and then they answer it without even inquiring if that's an accurate answer for me. It's very off-putting. And I know that I've done that in the past before I learned better, to men, a lot. I knew I did that. And it's been so refreshing to knock it off, especially when I like the answer better. And also to find out, well, I don't think I like that answer, but now I know what the answer is, rather than guessing and assuming, because I found they would stop talking and I wouldn't learn the answer. If I just put the answer in their mouth, they'd go, okay. And I've now had experienced it from women on this side. I'm like, I can see why they would stop, because it's very frustrating.
Yep, definitely.
I feel like I'm my estrogen level, I do take hormone replacement, but I know that my testosterone's high enough that I'm having more of these guy reactions. And I'm like, I feel very sympathetic about what I've done to you all in the past.
I'm so glad to hear that.
I'm glad I took the pledge, and I'm glad I don't do that anymore, because I sure do see the folly for doing it.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about what to do if you're in a relationship, because that can be a hard thing too, that you want them to be perfect or they've changed. So if any of this has appealed to you, if you've had a perfectionist problem or challenge that isn't working out well for you, I'd be so happy to talk to you. And go to my website, which is www.theperfectcatch.com. Scroll to the middle of the page to What's Holding You Back from Love questionnaire. 8 brief questions: where you are now, what you would like to be different in the future. It'll give you access to my calendar, and you can schedule a complimentary conversation with me on Zoom or on the phone. And you can also send me an email at christine@theperfectcatch.com. And how would people reach you, Barry?
And similar to Christine, I have a website you can go to get more information about me as well. If you go to my site, which is my name, barryselby.com, at the top of the homepage on my website, there is a button that says, let's have a conversation, let's have a chat. That's where you click on to get on my calendar, and also lets you fill out a bunch of questions. I'm getting better at making the questions more impactful. So definitely fill out the questionnaire, which actually some of the questions are mandatory, some are optional, but fill them all out. Once you get on my calendar, we'll schedule a Zoom chat for 20 minutes. If you can't do Zoom, we'll do it over phone, but Zoom's better because we can really see each other and interact that way. And that's my gift to you. So it doesn't cost you anything except your time and your willingness to shed some of your old stuff. If you want to send me an email, you can send me one at barry@barryselby.com, and we'll tell you a bit all about the rest of the things on our websites at the end of the show.
Yes, so we're going to take a short break for our wonderful station, the newstreamingnetwork.com, and we'll be right back with more Let's Talk Dating, talking about perfectionism.
We'll see you soon.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Dating with Christine and Barry. And today we're talking about, are you waiting for perfectionism? And there's a better choice, because it doesn't work out well for ourselves or the people that we'd like to bring in our life, either as a friendship or a colleague or a romantic, because it's just too much pressure for everybody. Nobody can be perfect all the time.
And the thing about perfection is, as I said earlier, it is this thing. It's this ideal. Yes, it's a nice target to have. However, the focus on that is also very disappointing, because you don't get there. It's impossible to get there, except basically, as I said before, like, when you're in spiritual realms and beyond the physical. So the level of disappointment you'll keep creating for yourself if you don't let go of that, it's going to be right overwhelming. So definitely focus on what you can have more improvement opportunities in, and become more enjoying of what's in front of you. Because frankly, relationships, as I said earlier, are such a great place to. It's like in a way a playground. It's a place where you find things, you climb at things, you slip, you fall, you trip up, you make mistakes, you can get up, dust yourself off, and you keep going forward. And that's one of the ideals of dating. Although some people take it way too seriously. I don't believe it should be that serious. But having fun with your dates, to experience life and to really learn about how your partner is and who you are in that experience, is where the real fun is.
It really is. And if you can have a little bit of lightheartedness about yourself and other people, we're still learning, we're still getting better at this. There's always things that we could do a little better. And maybe I've peaked. I tell people from the time I was a child, I've never spelled like the dictionary. And it's not changed. And I do have a few words that it doesn't matter, at this advanced age, I still spell them incorrectly. But I'm okay with it, because I have some great spellers in my life, and we have all these ways of looking up spelling now. I used to call the library, because I spelled it so badly I couldn't even look it up in the dictionary. Fascinating. But I can tell you when the word's spelled incorrectly, and so I'm a good proofreader, and I can tell you when it's spelled correctly, but I can't get from incorrect to correct on my own. But it's okay. And I never will. And I accept that about me. And I don't think there's anything bad or lacking about it. And I just know there's other things that I'm really, really good at, and I don't want them to leave. And so I could be a better speller. It's okay. So there's times when you just go, this is good enough. This is as good as it's going to get. And could you be okay that you're with somebody that doesn't know how to spell the same as the dictionary?
Yeah.
Because some people have a thing about it, grammar and all of that. And women can just be so difficult about the way men type in their profiles or text. And some men that it's not their strength. And they don't always have spell check, or sometimes it says something different than you intended it to say, especially if you're talking to text. Oh my gosh, that is embarrassing. Yeah. So to have a little grace about, nobody's going to be that kind of perfect all the time.
It is I guess I call it a dance. And being a very clumsy dancer, I can speak to this from the point of view of not being perfect. Is for me, dancing is something that I've not spent a lot of time studying, learning, growing up. I'm not talking about like freeform dancing, I'm actually learning formal dancing. And when I remember when I was learning tango, that it was one of the most challenging dances because I knew the joy of it, the power of it, but my feet didn't understand how to move the right way. So it was always a bit clunky. And to be honest, at times I judge myself for not being good enough and not being fast enough learning everything else. But what I recognize since then, looking back in other things I do in my life, is that there was a learning opportunity there, which I did take hold of. And even though I haven't followed up since then, I still feel that there's an opportunity to grow. And the other part too is not having had perfection in some area. The joy is that I have room to grow in that. I can go back and do more of it and experience and learn and become better and better. So for me, dancing is one of those avenues through which I know I can do better every single time because I know I'm not perfect at any form of dancing.
And if you step on somebody's foot, literally or figuratively, you just say, oops, sorry. I'll try not to step on your foot the next time, or your feelings or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The tango, because you get to hold somebody kind of close in your arms as a stranger and you get permission. I tell men, please go take a dancing lesson, even if you think you have two left feet, even if you think you're going to be embarrassed. You will get to meet it's like speed dating, only you're dancing. You get to meet a whole bunch of women all at once and introduce yourself and have a brief conversation in a very safe way, because you're going to talk about, I don't know how to do this. Do you know how to do it better? Or I learned this, we'll do this together. And you can have a safe conversation and then just practice on like 10 women at once. Even if you don't get a phone number, it's not that goal. It's that you're now going to go, wow, I survived. It wasn't horrible. And because that's the thing, you have to sigh and go, well, nobody died. Even if I stepped on their foot, nobody died. Because we do think that it's going to just be the most embarrassing, horrible thing in the whole world, which is if it's not perfect, but even have it just be imperfect, that you were brave and did it.
This is the thing I've learned over the years, and not just in dancing, other places too, is when I make mistakes and I don't die, it's a victory.
It's funny that I've had friends, when they've had their baby and they go, I can't believe they're letting me take this thing home with me that I don't really sure what I'm doing. But I know my job is to have them not die. And I mean, it's just such a funny conversation. Almost every new parent has had that conversation. Okay, they're not going to die on my watch. So one of the things to think about when we were talking about tolerance and putting up with, because I think it's important to address in this conversation. So you're in a relationship with somebody and you have been putting up with something for a long time. Because I'll always say, well, did this a new thing, or did they do this forever? Well, no. And I thought they'd change, or I thought I'd get used to it. And now I just can't. I can't put up with it anymore. I'm past, there's no tolerating. I can't even put up with it. So then you need to be really honest. Gosh, I didn't tell you about this before, or it's become a bigger deal. And I really can't live this way. This is something I need differently in my life. And this is how it's affecting me. This is how it's making me not respect you. It's making me not feel close to you. It's me. I'm feeling this way. I get that this is who you are. It could be drinking or drugs or swearing or whatever. And I need to decide if I can stay or not. And I think I've decided I can't stay if this is how it's going to be. And then you stop talking. And then you let them go see, do they think if they make this change, their personal life is going to be better? Because they cannot just change for you. I've talked to so many recovered, all sorts of stuff, and they don't change for other people. They need to decide, my not drinking or drugs or swearing or yelling, my life is going to be better in the world and in this relationship. And I'm going to do a bunch of things to get myself on the other side of this so that I'm a better person. And then we'll see, do you still want to be with me? Because we think, I'm going to go back to that, if they cared enough, if they loved us enough, they have to love themselves. And often when people are doing those kind of things, they don't think as highly of themselves, or they don't understand that it's being so hurtful because you haven't really said. So saying it out loud, this is how it's affecting me. Stop pointing the finger out and listen to the other fingers, that it's your responsibility. And I can't do this anymore. And I'm curious what you think about that. And then leave them alone. They might have to think about it for a while. They might have to go decide what to do next. And there's times when they'll say, no, I can't. And I had that happen with a client recently. She finally had a talk with him. She'd been very hesitant. And he said, I can't. And she said, okay. And they both were very sad. And then 3 weeks later, he went, I figured it out. I can do that. I can absolutely do that differently. And he did. He completely changed. It's been 4 months. and he's absolutely not swearing. That was his thing. And it was like, okay, but she was willing to let it go.
Yeah.
So many good things about him, so many things she liked about him, but she couldn't do this anymore. It was too hard on her, considering how she'd been raised. And now they're fine, because that was really the only big thing. But he changed and said, oh my gosh, I see how my other relationships are changing. And I see the people that are comfortable and we do that with each other. But I understand I can't do that all the time. It was really a revelation, because you can't bank on that happening, but it really did happen in the most positive way.
It is one of the biggest gifts you give yourself when you have room and when you both have opportunities. And the thing is, this is where I think the real growth happens, is when you're willing to sacrifice, I won't say an addiction necessarily, but just even a habit, a preference, because it's not working for the relationship you want to have, and you value that relationship enough to say, you know what, I'm willing to give this up for that. There's such a opportunity, because part of this journey, we talked about it before the break, about becoming better and better. When you do a certain level, you can do even better. Well, if you choose to say sacrifice your addiction, to sacrifice your limitation, to give up that thing that holds you back, you're actually going to become even better at being yourself, and you'll have more improvement in your relationships, not just your one you're dating, but all your personal relationships too will change. So this opportunity to transform and shift your focus as a I keep wanting to say sacrifice, so I use it, that you're sacrificing this limited way of doing things to have a more better, more whole, more healthy, more fulfilled way of living, is a price that some people aren't willing to pay. But if you do, the rewards are so much more abundant, and you have such a great deal of love in your relationship. So if you're challenged by that, by a friend or by a family member or by a partner, consider the choice carefully. It isn't automatically yes or a no. Understand what the impact is, and also what the price you'll pay, in quotes, but also what the rewards will be in corresponding to that.
And it's really a choice to release it, because often people are doing whatever it is they're doing for a really good reason. It's helping numb, or it's helping them be social, or whatever. And so are you willing to release that part of your life, that whatever that's helping you with, or getting rid of, or helping you ignore, or feel more connected? Are you willing to have that go away? Really, are you, for your life? And if you are, then do that. And if you're not, then it's worth it to let the relationship go, because you can't keep making each other miserable, because men really want to make us happy. And if we're not happy with who they are, then we shouldn't stay together.
True. It is. Yeah. It is. I've got to be careful I say this, because the thing is, there are men out there who don't necessarily agree with this, and women who've experienced men who don't agree with this either. But ultimately, I think you're right that the majority of willing men, I'm going to frame this carefully, our goal in a relationship is to improve the relationship of our partner that we're with, to make them happy. There's a desire to serve in a way that, when we're allowed to do so, makes us happy in return. It's almost like the selfish act, or I should say the selfless act, of her making her partner happy makes us happy too. And there are women the same way, that they would also do the same thing. It's also part of this journey about how do you do that for yourself. Something hit me earlier in the conversation, I think it was right before the break, that one of the opportunities we have is we oftentimes, in our self-talk and self-reflection, looking at ourselves, we hold the perfection target up to ourselves, or we don't think we're good enough. We don't think we're old enough, we're healthy enough, we're healed enough, all that stuff is. When we're willing to have that relationship with ourselves in the mirror improve by doing the inner work, which is what I'm very passionate about in my work, we become better at having a relationship with other people, because we're no longer carrying that chip on our shoulder that we're not good enough, or something's wrong with us, or we're failed, or whatever that is. I know for myself, in past experiences in relationship, I've failed my partner because I failed myself. And when you do that, nobody wins.
It's really a good point. You're always so lovely and transparent in your conversations, Barry. So if you, as the person that's unhappy, value yourself enough to say, I'm unhappy, and this is what I would need to be happier. And then you can release it to that. Is that something that would make their life better, to stop this or start this or not? And if they can't, for way bigger reasons than have anything to do with you, because it's so not personal, it's really hard not to take it personal, they need to not be in your life, and you need not to be in theirs. Right. And the people who say, oh, I do see how this would make my life better, period. And wow, I really want to have a better relationship with you, second, then it's really remarkable how that can work. I've watched it happen over and over, both ways. And the people that ended up not together anymore because they weren't able to do this change, it still worked for them to do the other thing. They went off and found people that were better for them because they were able to get and give the thing that what you're giving is what you want the other person to want. And what you want to give them, you want them to want it. And if it's not happening that way, it's kind of miserable.
So it's worth letting go of perfection and have an easier path, which is to take one step at a time towards better and better and better.
So better to talk about it all ahead of time when you're getting to know each other. But there is also a way to have a conversation about it if it's been going on for years or there's a new thing. So if any of this is sparking an interest, you feel it landing inside of you, oh, this keeps happening to me, or I'm afraid it'll happen for me, Barry and I would be so happy to talk to you about this because, boy, it's the kind of subject that we've lived and we have coached.
Yes.
So I'd love to chat with you. I'd love to send you to my website, which is www.theperfectcatch.com. The way I came up with that name is that you learn how to be the perfect catch, and then you'll attract the perfect catch, because that's what I did before I was even a coach. And my website at the very top, you can download my book. It's free because it was 10 years of a dating advice column that I created, and my lovely sister-in-law editor made it into a wonderful book for me. And I'm getting really lovely feedback about how helpful it is that you can just pick a chapter and put it in practice in your life and see what happens. I'd also like you to join my mailing list. Every week, you'll get a repeat of this wonderful podcast that we do delivered effortlessly to your mailbox. And you'll also find out some interesting things that I'm doing in my business. I want to send you to the bottom of that homepage where I have all my social media icons of Facebook and LinkedIn and Instagram and Pinterest and Twitter and YouTube. And if you click on YouTube, you will see Barry and I for the last 5 years giving you wonderful advice, and also some single ones I've done and some that I did with a different coach. And then also I can send you to my email page where you could send me a personal private email at Christine@theperfectcatch.com. And I'd love to talk to you. If you click on the What's Holding You Back from Love questionnaire in the middle of the page, tell me where you are right now and what you would like to be differently in your life. And then schedule a call with me, either on the phone or on Zoom. It's kind of fun to feel each other's energy. And we can have a talk about, see if I can help you right then. And if you'd like to continue having a conversation over time. And how would people reach you, Barry?
Well, similar fashion, my website is the best way to find out more about me. So my website is my name, barryselby.com. As mentioned before, at the top of the page, there is a button you click on, which is Let's Have a Conversation. That takes you to my calendar. We can have a conversation. Mention that earlier. We can have a talk, see where you are, what you're going for, if I can help you with that. At the bottom of the homepage of my website is my email list. Basically, if you click on that, you put your name and email in there. That'll add you to my email subscribers. So you'll get an email from me every week, which includes the replay of the show and everything else I'm working on as well. You get in your inbox. In the middle of the page of my homepage is my first of my 2 quizzes. I have 2 assessments I created. One is a relationship readiness assessment. The other one is a self-relationship review. The first one, the relationship assessment, is a button you can click on and you go to barryselby.com/quiz. And that really basically puts you in a position of what's in the way, what's working, what can do better, and what will work, what we need help with. You get an email from me which explains all the different things, and then you'll get an invitation to reach out to me for more support. The second assessment still isn't on my homepage yet, but in the meantime, you have to go directly to it, which is barryselby.com/self-quiz. And as I mentioned, that's a self-relationship review. That's a chance to look at yourself in the mirror, as I mentioned during the show, a good place to start. And it gives you 7 different areas to look at to see what's working really well and what has room for improvement. It's a more detailed conversation in that review, so you'll get a PDF download rather than just an email. We use a lot of different steps, keys, and tips you can use in your life right now. And also an invitation to reach out to me for more support. Additionally, on my website, you can go to my book page, because my book, which is over my shoulder there, is called 50 Ways to Love Your Lover. It's been out for 13 years now. It's been a bestseller. People love it. There's lots of, actually, if you go to the book page, you'll see the reviews that are on there as well. Some testimonials on that page, as well as on Amazon where it lives. But if you want to find out more about my book, again, you go to barryselby.com/book. You can listen to an audio recording that's on that page, which is basically a 13-minute or so conversation between two very smart book review type people. It's all AI generated, but it sounds really good, and they are accurately describing my book. So you get a review, a preview of my book there. Then you go to the bottom of that page and you click on the links to go to Amazon to get the Kindle version of the ebook or physical book, or you can get the ebook directly from my homepage. Social media, you can find me on all the usual platforms, which is basically under my name, Barry Selby, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Pinterest, on Blue Sky, and on YouTube, where this show and all the podcasts, in fact, 1,500 other videos are on my homepage. You can get, on my YouTube channels, you can get lots of, what's the one I'm looking for? Conversations from me. Some interviews I've had with other people, as well as different podcasts and other things as well. If you want to find me on Instagram or Threads, it's the real Barry Selby. And if you want to send me an email, you can send me on at barry@barryselby.com. And just a quick plug, I'm still interviewing people. I've actually done 12, 13 interviews so far, but I'm looking for a few more. People who have been single for a long time, if you're feeling stuck and you want to share your experience, I'm interviewing you without any strings, no sales pitch, just an invitation to talk to me over the Zoom. Send me an email at barry@barryselby.com and let me know you're interested, and I'll send you the calendar links. You can just sign up, and it doesn't cost you anything. Again, no sales pitch. It's purely an hour conversation. I ask you 23 questions to help me navigate this conversation I'm having with lots more people. So that's all. You can reach me.
Perfect.
Yes.
And we are here every week live on Thursday at 4 o'clock Pacific and 1 o'clock Pacific and 4 o'clock Eastern and all the times in between. And we would love for you to watch it on YouTube or Roku. And also you can take us with you, right, Barry?
Yes, indeed. This show is actually a podcast as well as being a video conversation. So if you don't have time to watch us on YouTube and see our smiling faces, you can listen to us in your ears with your earpods. So if you're out on the road and like you're driving or you're shopping or somewhere you can't look at a screen, or either you don't want to look at a screen, you want to hear us, you can listen to our show, Let's Talk Dating, on all the major platforms like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon. Wherever you listen to your podcast, you can find us there.
And we'd love for you to give us a review and subscribe and like. And then if you hear something you're like, oh, this person's struggling with that, share it with them. We'd love to have them get a chance to hear our advice too.
Yes.
So we'll be back next week with another interesting topic about dating and relationships.
We'll see you then. Take care of yourselves. Bye.